Hey folks, this is Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. This is going to be my UFC 101 predictions. Let's start out with Penn versus Florian. You know, I've been thinking about this fight quite a bit and heard, listened to a lot of comments. Is this fight going to go to the ground? Because I can't remember BJ ever taking a fight to the ground, and I'm not convinced Kenny really wants to be on the ground with Penn, because it's not going to be, I don't know if you heard, but George St. Pierre said his revenge for Greasegate against Penn, BJ raising a stink about Greasegate, he said that he was going to train Kenny Florian, and that was going to be his revenge, which, that's fine and dandy, but I'm not convinced Kenny can hold BJ down like George St. Pierre did, and then again, he may not even be able to take Penn down. So I'm really thinking this fight is going to be a stand-up war, because I don't think either one of them, I'm not convinced Kenny can take BJ to the ground, and I'm not convinced BJ's going to take it to the ground. And I'm curious, does anybody even remember a fight where BJ took a fight to the ground? I mean, I don't think his intention was ever to take anybody down. He may have took them down as a consequence of something else, but so anyway, I'm curious if any of y'all remember any fights where he's taking it down. And do you agree with me? Is it going to be... I don't see either one of them taking it to the ground. I really don't. Okay, let me see if I say everything I want to say on that. Okay. So I believe it's going to be a stand-up war. And so I think if Kenny's smart, and I know Kenny is, I asked myself, what is Kenny going to do to neutralize BJ's, first round speed? Because BJ is always, almost always, phenomenal the first round. Almost nobody beats BJ the first round except in that last George St. Pierre fight, which BJ lost the first round in my opinion. And like my cousin said, BJ looked flat really in that first round. So I think Kenny's going to know BJ's fast the first round. So I asked myself, what would be the smart tactic to neutralize BJ's quickness in round one? Because you don't want to punch with him because he's going to be faster than you, typically. So what I think, I think the safe bet, if you can't take BJ down and lay on him, which I don't think he's going to do that, then what you have to do is clinch with BJ. If you can clinch with BJ, you don't have to take him down. All you have to do is wear some energy off so he don't have those quick reflexes. And so what I think what George St. Pierre is going to teach Kenny is, hey, you can't take him down. You're not that great a wrestler. You use your footwork and your punching to get in close, to grab a clinch, put him up against the fence, and just wrestle with him for 5 minutes or something like that until the ref breaks you up. And then the second round, when BJ's lost all that spiritual energy, or the spiritual energy, then you can start boxing with him. Then you can start using that footwork to start punching him and kicking him and blah, blah. Come to think about it, BJ don't use a lot of leg kicks either, if I remember. That may be a good strategy, too, to use a lot of leg kicks on BJ. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So, like I say, let's see, safe spot. Like I say, the only place standing up that's safe for BJ is the clinch. So that in my mind is what Kenny has to do, is clinch with him. And I think we know what BJ's plan typically is. He'll stand up. He'll do whatever you want. You want to stand up? We'll stand up, because I'm going to out-punch you. If you want to go on the ground, I'm going to jiu-jitsu you. Unless it's George St. Pierre, you don't want to be laid on for 5 minutes every round. So I think that's what's going to happen. Clinch BJ. Okay. So let's talk about BJ's mind. The fundamental fault I see with BJ is he rests on talent and big spirit. And BJ can get fired up, but it takes a lot to get him really, really fired up. Like the Jens Pulver talking crap to him. BJ looked phenomenal in that fight. I ain't talking about the fight itself, which he looked phenomenal. I'm talking about his spirit before that fight, man. He looked like he'd done the right food training. He looked like he did everything like he should have. He looked. Before he fought, I was like, holy crap, man. He's really fired up. You see a different spirit in his eyes. Not that lethargic BJ, just fire in his eyes. I'm not talking about anger, just spirit was alive from eating the right foods and stuff. However, he didn't look that way in the GSP fight. He looked flat. He just looked, and I thought to myself, well, maybe George St. Pierre is just that good, which I think George is that good. However, I think it was a combination of George being that good with a great plan, plus BJ sort of taking him lightly since he, in my opinion, he won the first fight. Not on the scorecard, but my scoring system is this. Who would you rather be at the end of the fight? It's really that simple. The scoring system should be that. Who would you rather be? You know, because I get tired of the point system. And if you haven't done so, you should go on UFC.com and watch BJ's video of talking about after the George St. Pierre fight. Because he really, his talk was all good. I liked everything he said because I was really concerned with where his mind was going to be at. And his mind was 100% solid. You know, he said, hey, he's moved his camp to California to train for this fight. He's training with new people. He's bringing in everybody he needs to bring in to make sure he can handle Kenny. So, I mean, I thought, and he looked phenomenal in the video, man. Some of his feet work, and just like I say, I was questioning his mindset, so I didn't really give him as much advantage in my earlier predictions. So, I'm convinced BJ's, you know, he got his mind straight. He's doing everything that I wanted to see him to do to be a real champion. So, like he said it's the best thing that ever happened to him because if he wouldn't have lost, he'd have just kept on doing what he's doing, you know. He needed to be challenged. He needed an ass whipping to move that next level. Okay. Again, well, maybe not again, but both of these guys are at the pinnacle of the game. So, this is going to be an amazing fight, no matter how it goes. I mean, BJ wins, it's an amazing fight. Kenny wins, it's going to be an amazing fight. It's going to be an amazing fight. Both these guys, Kenny has progressed. You know, Kenny's more of a big conscious guy. You know, and he's slowly gaining ground. BJ's more one of those hyper intuitive, very, you know, very spiritual guy. I'm not saying spiritual as far as a truth seeker, but just big spirit. And and BJ's always sort of been at the top. Kenny's working his way at the top. So I really don't know what's going to happen. It may be Kenny's time, but I'm probably going to lean more towards BJ since I watched the video and heard his mindset is right. Okay, let's talk about Kenny's mind. I have never once questioned Kenny's commitment, his progress, or his mind like I have BJ Penn. So the mental aspect of BJ is always a question. Kenny, it's never a question. You know Kenny's coming in at his best. You know Kenny's made progress. You know Kenny is 100% committed to being the champ or to being the best. So that may play a little part. I'm not convinced it will, but it's just, you know, throwing that thought out there about their minds. You know, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. So my prediction is, like I said, I don't like to predict one person. I like to give odds. I'm going to say 55% BJ Penn winning it and 45% Florian winning it. So I'm going to give a slight advantage to BJ because he is the man. He's beat better people and he's fought better people. So, you know, it may be Kenny's time. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, I'm excited to see the fight, and that's what I love to see. I love to see a fight that makes me think. Some fights that don't make me think, like, no, I know who's going to win that. Just forget about it. Anyway, next fight. Holy crap, I'm running out of time. I think I'm going to start a second video because I'm going to talk about Anderson Silva and Forrest Griffin in the next one. I'm just going to stop it now and start a second one.